let's talk about another lesson in leadership. This is a very important lesson. You may ask, Dilan, you're talking about an important lesson in leadership. Why you showed up with a t-shirt to talk about this important lesson? I'll tell you why. But before that, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And please go ahead and comment on my videos and share it with your friends, family members, coworkers, colleagues, people in your community. As soon as I get 1,000 subscribers, I can do live podcasts and bring leaders from different fields and almost any walk of life and talk about them and ask them questions, and you can ask your questions also. Or if you are a leader and you would like to come to my podcast and talk to people and send some messages and share your ideas about leadership, about the leadership styles and different lessons of leadership, or your experience in a company, organization, or anywhere, so you can do that too. So go ahead, please subscribe and share this video so I get more than 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible, so I can do a live podcast. Okay, back to our lesson, our important lesson. This lesson is about leadership that, to me, is a spectrum. I know you've heard from many people, many leaders, and those people who speak on leadership, and they have written books and they are writing books about leadership. Almost all of them, they talk about levels. Probably you've never heard that leadership is a spectrum. Or it could be a combination of levels and spectrum, like an atom. So an atom has a nucleus and some electrons that they move around the nucleus. However, those electrons, they move on different levels of which is called orbit. So they have this orbital energy and they move around or circling around the nucleus. Sometimes that electron goes to a higher level, higher orbit, or higher level of energy, or sometimes is lower. You have seen the spectrum of light, for example. Human being, as part of the nature, has a mindset that can be varies in different times. You don't have exactly the same mindset and the same behavior and the same attitudes all the time. If you think about some leaders, or probably you're in leadership or you had been in leadership position in your company, your organization, your school, your wherever you are working, or at least in your family, immediate family or extended family, you could be a leader. And if you think about different behaviors, different attitudes in different times, even from those leaders that supposedly they were in very high levels already. That's why they were hired or appointed by such and such companies, organizations, or even a president or a governor or a president of a country. That person was elected or is elected by people. Why? Because people, their assumption or reality was this person can lead the country, or can lead a state, or can lead that organization or that company, because of the previous experience and because the previous attitudes and behaviors. However, you've seen a lot of leaders, even the leaders at a very high level in different companies or organizations, even the presidents of countries, they have done some scandals that is very, very shameful. Scandal in different fields, you can imagine. In economy, in politics, in sexual behavior, and many other fields, you have heard a lot of scandals from top leaders or top level leaders. Why that happened? If that leader was at that high level, and our assumption or our expectation was this person is very good for that level and he or she cannot slip down or fall to a lower level. That's why we elected that president, or that's why we voted for that governor or that leader of a company or CEO or the leader of an organization. So you can ask yourself why it happens. If you go back to your mindset, to the human nature is like that. Our mindset, our behavior, our attitude is like the nature. We are moving on this leadership spectrum for the leadership, like the leadership of a family, the leadership of a company, organization, a state, a country, or an international organization. We all are human, and human nature is like that. So sometimes you behave very, very well, and occasionally or rarely, sometimes you get some ideas which is weird, very strange. And the majority of times you can control yourself, but sometimes you can't, or you're not willing to control yourself. So you fall down and the scandal happens. Or something happens that later on you can be very ashamed to talk about it. So that's why I say leadership is a spectrum. So on that spectrum, you can move toward the positive or you can move toward the negative side of that spectrum. But the important thing is the majority of times you move toward the positive. If something happens and you get some evil ideas, or someone comes and suggests something to you, and you get these evil thoughts that probably nobody will figure out, and you slip down from your level to a lower level, or you are moving toward the negative side of the leadership spectrum, and you do it. So that's why it's very, very important to pay attention to this. That's why I say leadership actually is a spectrum. If you believe it's a level, then you have to come up with some model from the nature, from the atom. So you could circle around in a specific orbital energy and then keep up to go to higher orbit. But probably you cannot stay there forever. Sometimes you slip down. So at least admit that is a combination of levels and a spectrum. But I believe actually is more spectrum. So on this leadership spectrum, the most important thing is every day, every morning, when you get up and you want to start your leadership responsibility, always think about it, that today I'm going to move just a little bit more toward the positive side of this spectrum. And then based on the practice you do every day, then later on you can be far in the positive side of this spectrum. And the probability for you to move toward the negative side is going to be very minimal, or maybe not zero, but at least very minimal. And on this spectrum, when you move toward the negative side, you need to remind yourself that this is not a good idea. I supposed to move toward the positive side of this spectrum. If you come to my coaching sessions, or in the future that I want to establish the Leadership University, which is very, very necessary for our society, our community, everywhere in the world. So you will get a lot of practical practices to test you and to remind you and to prepare you to move more and more and more toward the positive side of the leadership spectrum. Hopefully you got some good ideas out of this video, and hopefully it's beneficial to you and you got some lessons from this video and other videos, which this one is part of the series, the Leadership Lessons series. And please go ahead, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead, click that button, click the subscribe button, and please share it with your friends, family members, co-workers, colleagues, people in your community. Let's get together and make this community bigger and bigger, so I can do a live podcast and I bring leaders from different walks of life, from different fields, to talk to you, to give their experience, good or bad, so you learn more and more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.